If you plan to pull for Lupa in Phase 2 or version 2.4, then I've got you covered with everything you could possibly need to build and play her more effectively. I'll also cover some pre-farm tips and tricks that can help make things a whole lot easier when building your characters. So without further ado, let's get right into it, starting with our pre-farm materials. You will need 46 of the Unfading Glory Boss material from the Lioness of Glory. If you haven't reached Septimont yet, you don't have to worry because the game will provide you with early access to fight this boss as many times as you want. The next material you need is 26 of the Netherworld Stair, which you can get from Hecate. But in case you missed the 3 chances to farm Hecate the previous weeks after this video goes public, all hope is not lost because there's a high chance that you already have some weekly supply challenge packs in your backpack, which you can use to get any type of weekly boss material in the current version. But for those who are able to use their weekly boss chances to farm for some Hecate boss materials, I highly recommend that you only use your weekly challenge packs in case of emergencies due to its limited quantity compared to wave plays that will continuously refresh from now up until the time that Lupa will be officially released in the game. So basically all I'm trying to say is that save your weekly packs for times where you're not able to log into the game and use your weekly boss chances for any reason such as school, work, etc., especially when there's an upcoming character. The next material we need is the Bloodleaf Viburnum. These materials are not hard to farm, but you do need to unlock certain parts of Septimont first if you're new to the game. So here's exactly what you need to do in case you fall into that category. Once you have Septimont unlocked, you can use the flight ability to reach Capitoline Hills in case you don't have time to unlock all the waypoints in Septimont. Now once you're there, head over to the Silver Helmet shop where you can buy some Bloodleaf Viburnum. When that's done, simply head over to your backpack, which will now have the material listed there and the corresponding collection spots available, which will guide you to collect the ones that are scattered on the map. You will need 60 of these materials and you can gain about 58 of them on the same day. With that done, you will need some Wave 1 residue. You can farm them from the Garden of Adoration in Renacita or the Eroded Ruins in Huanglong, but I highly recommend that you farm them in Huanglong instead to make it easy for you to get some hollow cores as well since Lupa needs them. For the Wave 1 residue, you need 61 of the golden ones, 52 of the purple ones, 40 of the blue ones, and 29 of the green ones. You can also check your backpack to see if you have some forgery supply packs that you normally get from events that can help you easily top up the ones that you're lacking. But as I mentioned earlier, if you've already started farming for Lupa, only use your supply packs in case of emergencies. For hollow cores, you can get them from enemies in the overworld in addition to the ones that you get from farming Wave 1 residue in Huanglong, as I mentioned earlier, but there's a high chance that you already have some enclosure tanks as well just sitting in your inventory or your backpack to use in case of emergencies. You need 57 of the golden ones, 40 of the purple ones, 28 of the blue ones, and 25 of the green ones. For stuff like shell credits, prioritize about 2.5 million, and for resonance potion, prioritize about 120 of the golden ones as well. Events like Virtual Crisis also reward you with Wave 1 residue and howler cores, so try to get enough matrix crystals to buy everything at the supply shop. Speaking of Virtual Crisis, if you're having any issues, let me know down in the comment section and I'll make a quick video to help you solve them to the best of my abilities. For weapons, your best free-to-play alternative is the Lustrous Razor due to how Lupa can gain all the 3 stacks of the Liberation damage bonus by pressing your skill instead of basic attack after using your Liberation to use Foe Breaker, since it can be considered as a resonance skill cast from a skill description. You can check out this video later, which I'll link in the description, to see how that actually works. Aside from Lustrous Razor, your free-to-play options are not looking pretty good if I'm being honest, so use Aegis of Harvest or Verdant Summit if you have them on your account due to the crit stats that they provide, and they will actually perform better than Lustrous Razor. Now let's get into her echoes. For those who pull for Cartethia, you should have a lot of Flaming Clawprint echoes because it can be farmed in the same tacit field as Windward Pilgrimage, but if you have enough echo leveling materials already, there's no need to keep farming tacit fields because the new and improved methods of farming echoes is now the Fantasies of 1,000 Gateways weekly combat challenge, where you can get unborn echoes. Using them will grant you random echoes from a particular tacit field that you want. So it's basically the same as farming for tacit fields, but you get much higher value in terms of rewards for the wave plays that you have to spend. I highly recommend that you guys do this event weekly because it's a guaranteed way of obtaining new echoes for every new patch in Withering Waves without doing the tacit fields. For Lupa's echoes, you should be running the 4-3-3-1-1 echo formation. The forecast will be crit rate or crit damage depending on what you have available on your weapon. So if you're running a crit damage substat weapon, go with crit rate, but if you're running a crit rate substat weapon, you go with crit damage. For free-to-play who'll be using the Lustrous Razor, go with crit rate on your forecast echo. Now, for the 3-cost, running double fusion or attack and fusion damage bonus depends on what Lupa's damage profile looks like and the fusion damage bonus that she gets passively. From her kit information in the gallery, most of her damage will be considered as liberation damage since majority of your damage will come from casting her liberation and using the Dance with the Wolf or Dance with the Wolf Climax Forte skills, which are all considered as liberation damage. This also means that there's a high chance that her weapon will provide liberation damage bonus just like most weapons in the game that synergizes with who they were made for. If we compare Lupa to another character like Phoebe for example, you can see that Phoebe's overall damage comes from multiple sources, which is why she benefits more from double spectral damage bonuses. That helps with your damage when you're not using heavy attack Star Flash for example, since her damage sources from her Ultra skill and liberation will not gain any benefit from the basic attack damage and heavy attack damage bonus on her weapon, but dealing damage from heavy attack Star Flash for example will add the heavy attack damage bonus on her weapon to the attribute damage bonus that you currently have to increase her damage. We also need to consider how much fusion damage bonus we're getting from Lupa. Running her with 2 fusion teammates will grant her and the entire team 35% fusion damage bonus if we add the 15% from Flaming Clawprint. Hence, Lupa will benefit more from attack and fusion damage bonus 3-cost when running her with 2 or even 1 fusion teammates while having her signature weapon. But for those who will not be running her with their signature weapon, go with double fusion damage bonus. The 1-cost will be attack percentage as well. Your substats priority whilst you're rolling your echoes should be crit rate, crit damage, and liberation damage bonus. Energy regen shouldn't be a problem because Lupa has a resonance energy cost of just 125. For teams, Changli, Brandt, and Lupa are highly recommended due to the complete synergy that they all have with one another, but suitable replacement for Brandt and Changli will be Chisha and Encore, with Encore being the top priority in terms of damage output since she can take full advantage of Lupa's Ultra buff. For those planning on playing Hypercarry, I recommend Shorekeeper on Rejuvenating Globe and Zhang Xin on Moonlit Clouds. To be honest, I do not recommend Hypercarry for the following reasons. The damage potential of hybrids in general is nowhere near dedicated main DPS characters, so you're not going to delete bosses in less than a minute if Lupa is the only DPS in the team. Brandt is an exception to this rule due to how he can easily take advantage of Sanwa's incredibly fast concerto energy regeneration to provide double intro skills for Brandt to drop 2 nukes with his forte in one rotation throughout the buff duration of outro skills from healing buffers like Shorekeeper and Verena. Hybrids in general are designed to work with other damage dealers that benefits from outro skills, so for those planning on running Lupa as a hypercarry, you might want to reduce your damage expectations. You should also keep in mind that running Lupa as a hypercarry doesn't mean that the buffs from Glory and Pack Hunt goes to waste. She still gains 10% fusion damage bonus and 3% fusion resistance shred. So as long as you have decent investment like having her weapon for example, she can still clear content as a hypercarry, just not as fast as you might want her to be due to her role as a hybrid character. Another thing you should keep in mind is that other non-fusion teammates will still benefit from the 18% attack buff since you only need to cast 2 intro skills after casting Lupa's Liberation, so she can still provide value to non-fusion DPS characters, especially in a quick swap double DPS team composition. If you plan to play Lupa as a hypercarry, maintain Flaming Clawprint because the value that it provides for Lupa is much better than the Molten Rip Sonator effect due to how majority of her high damage sources are considered as liberation damage. I'll update you guys on every team's performance when she's officially released in the game, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss it. That pretty much sums up how you can prepare for Lupa. Be sure to join our community Discord if you're having any issues with the game or just want a place to chill or hang out. Link will be in the pinned comment below. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.